just as appetizer, I always like to start with my favorite sheet. This shows the area, Europe, North Africa, a part of the Middle East, and also the solar and wind conditions. And if you look at this picture, you can look endlessly at this picture. It tells you so many stories. This is the area where many hundreds of million people live, and this population will grow in the coming 40 years to about 1.5 billion people. And they will all be dependent on energy, and as much as possible, clean energy. And you see here in this overview where the clean energy really, the major part of clean energy really will land every day. This is the Sahara, the areas where nobody lives. And that's the basic idea of Desert Tech. Go to the areas where nobody lives, capture the energy which is abundant over there, transform it into electrical power, bring it to the people. A similar thing, but to a lesser extent, not that high volume, is wind power, which you can see on the right. Very dark spots are very windy areas. What many people do not know is that in many of the Arab countries, there are very good wind conditions. So these are the basic elements, solar and wind. That's the basis, actually, of our work. The second slide that I personally like a lot is this slide. It's showing the three areas that we cover or have to consider if we talk about the energy of our future. That is, first of all, the demand. It makes no sense if we take a lot of effort in improving the generation side, so to make it clean energy, if we are spoiling energy at the other end, at the demand side. So the demand side is number one, and it is very important to be smart and intelligent and efficient what we do, and also to try to lower demand with local decentralized solutions, which you see in many countries, decentralized solutions for clean energy. It lowers actually demand. Then we have the distribution grids. You have all heard about the smart grids, grids that interact with this demand and with generation. And then the interconnected grids, and that is a very important element in our common energy future. Because the area that we have seen in the first picture of Europe, North Africa, Middle East, will over time be connected through interconnected grids. Maybe super grids, very high voltage DC grid connections that connect the large generation side with the demand sides. And we are all connected to that. These 1.5 billion people are connected through these grids and networks. And then the options that we have on the generation side, you know them all. The fossil option, the nuclear option, and the renewables option. And that brings me to actually the picture. If you look at the real options that we have at the end of the day, the largest option on the long term is the option of renewable energy from the Arab countries, the solar and wind options. This will be, on the very long term, a dominant factor in the interconnected grid structure of Europe, North Africa, and Middle East. And that's actually what has led to the foundation of actually the Desert Tech vision, and also the foundation of DII, the Desert Tech Industrial Initiative. You know about the companies, the industrial companies that has created DII to enable this development, to make sure that the conversion, the mobilization of this energy will take place. And just this will be repeated by some of my colleagues today and tomorrow, so I will not go into detail here. But these are the main areas of our work. It is to create a regulatory environment, to make it possible to transport energy from A to B, to generate it, and so on. Also to get stimulation or incentive schemes, everything that belongs to it. We are also preparing, or trying to create business cases of demonstration projects to show how would this work and how can this be financed, how can we find purchases for the energy. And then the major part of our work will be a long-term plan in the coming 40 years, considering extension of these interconnected grids, extension of power stations on solar and wind in the area that we are investigating. And it should also show what kind of business opportunities there will be in this area of clean energy in the coming 40 years, including electrical grids. And the last area, and that's obvious, we are dealing with a lot of studies to bring more facts and figures into the game. We all know that each beginning of a large development is not easy, and most often, especially from the point of view of the market situation or the cost level or price level, it most likely is not yet at the beginning competitive. We all know, and that is in most countries, most of the renewable energy options are not compatible on their own, competitive on their own. And the same applies to power from the deserts. It's, say, more expensive than the markets which is based on fossil fuel, basically. So the target will be to bring the cost down, to make the technology competitive, and one may expect that this will be helped a bit by the general price level of the market, which is based on fossil fuel, and we expect that the fossil fuel cost over time, over the long term, will increase. And as you know, especially the fossil, but also the nuclear area, they have their disadvantages, environmental impacts. If we are factoring in these impacts, make it an economic factor that will make the renewable energies more competitive in a relative sense. This is actually the framework in which we work. The target will be to make renewable energy viable. And as we are working with companies, they talk about business, they want to make investments, they want to have a return on investment, they want to see business cases. That's actually a main part of our work, to create in each country business cases like power stations connected to grids extension, that from the cost side, from the side of offtake of energy, from the side of financing, but also on the side of the so-called socio-economic factors like labor, industrialization, and things like that, that it fits together. That's actually the main part of our work. And that's, if we talk about the risk, that we are able to cover this risk, that it's not an adventurous thing. If this would be an adventure only, it would be very difficult to get this in motion. The most important thing, we work with different countries, different people in different areas. And we can only do our job if this is going to be in partnership, working together. That's actually the main activity of our company and our people and our shareholders, to get in contact with all the countries that we are dealing with. In North Africa, Middle East, we are closely working with them in a very strong partnership construction. And that will be the basis to get all these puzzle pieces together of the infrastructure, the generation, the capacity building, job creation and everything. This is the art to lay out the right puzzle. Then to finalize this introduction, just to show that in 1 year time, we have started with 11 founding companies, including the Desertec Foundation. And today we are over, I say more even today, than more than 52 partners, including the shareholders. These are industrial companies that work with us, and they want to bring us forward. We are also strongly cooperating, of course, with all the governments. And some examples are here, like Mr. Oettinger of the European Commission. He is also a strong promoter and supporter of Desertec. And Mr. Hohmann of the Ministry of Economic Affairs in Germany, also the Spanish government, and many other governments, and the Moroccan governments. But also, we work strongly together with associations in the market and other initiatives, like MSP, UFM, the Union pour la Méditerranée. You see here in Barcelona, IRENA, RICRI, ENSO, the grid operators, but also Transgreen, the French initiative. We are closely working together with them. They are also present as speakers today. So this is actually the kind of approach that we are following, bringing all these partners and associations together to move in the same direction. I thank you for your attention.